Zealots are done right now. Charge is done. Force fields are solid. Immortals, well, they're not. Well, they will go down, excuse me, but the Marauders are starting to fall. Zealots from the backside as well. It's a beautiful flank, but the question is whether there's enough here for MaxPax. In the upper left, in the blue, he is, of course, representing Storm Gaming. He is arguably the best Protoss player online. It's MaxPax. And the bottom right in the red, taking out Hero 2-0 to get here for Cloud9. It's Gumiho. So let's see where we go in this series. We saw Gumiho go for a bit of a Marine opening in one game where he decided, yeah, I'm going to go and it's going to be not even a Hellion drop. It's going to be a Marine drop with a Hellion running by in the natural. I got like 20 probes. Hero died very quickly. And then he went for a bit more of a standard 7:30 timing, where he goes for a bit of a more 7:30 timing, where it's just very, very standard from a couple years ago. And it didn't really work out, or it did work out, excuse me. The problem was, more than anything, Hero committed to this 3-gate blink, but his third base was very slow. It was like 6:30 or so, playing too defensively. His economy already slow because of that. Gumiho runs in, dives on top, kills 2 Colossus, resets the composition, doesn't take any damage on the counterattack, and then Gumiho snowballs this, kills two Naxai. There's really not a lot left. It turns into a pretty cool base trade where actually Hero loses his final structure to Gumiho to lose the game, which is pretty cool. There was a world where the Colossus were just going to win that game, which is pretty cool. Anyways, what are we looking at here? So game number 1 of this Gumiho series, he will open with a Reaper, which means none of that Hellion shenanigans. You might get a Hellion, of course, because there's just time in your build when you have spare minerals and don't have the gas for much of anything useful. So you got the Hellion, it's scouting, it's maybe some pressure, you go from there. But in this game, well, for the moment, it's not going to be any sort of Hellion aggression, not really. The Zealot's going to try to play around with a line of sight blocker, and it's just fast enough that the Reaper, you can kill the Zealot, but it's probably not worth it. It really is not worth spending the time to kill it. So, but Gumiho's committing to Gumiho. This is not worth doing. This surely is not worth doing. And now you don't get any scout whatsoever. You just go, and now you're going to get zoned out by the Adept. The Zealot can run across. One more shot. Reaper knows absolutely nothing, which is fine because Gumiho is opening up with concussive shells, not across the map. This is not what Cure did to Hero to bop him out of IEM Katowice last year, but it is still pretty strong. This is actually something Gumiho was doing right when he came back from the military, where the entire idea is you get like a single Marauder out, maybe 2, or maybe a couple more in this case, and you get your concussive shells. They're done, and then you just tag the units that run across the map from your Protoss opponent. You make it so they have no way to retreat back home. You kill them off. It's damage. It's value. Now, this one Marauder is going to have to play Ring Around the Rosie and will try to make sure it does not turn to ashes. It will fall down at the end. No, it's too slow. Everything else is just too fast. So the Zealot falls down. Adept takes a ton of damage. And Gumiho builds himself a bit of a lead here in this game. He loses the Reaper and doesn't really have a good scout. That is a problem. But he does have 3 Marauders, and he killed off the first Zealot, the first Adept, the second one took some damage, and, well, MaxPax is in a bit of an awkward spot right now. He just doesn't know what's up. 4 Marauders are a significant investment, so 2 are going to run forward. Ooh, Adept gets into the main base, actually, and it's going to complete the Shade, which means it's a full scout, and now he's going to know that, yeah, there's a 3-rack stim behind this. MaxPax, he's lost a bunch of these early units, but he knows what's happening now. He knows that, yeah, there's 3 racks. He knows that there is a stim on the way, and he also probably knows what the timing's going to be, which means that he should be able to defend this. So 3rd base on the way from MaxPax right now. He's got his Robo done. We're going to see the Robo Bay get started, but we're going to see a couple Immortals, I think, get made out of this fairly quickly. Just, you need stuff on the ground to defend against this 3-rack. I mean, there's a lot of Marines on the way. Actually, no, Marauders, just a lot of Marines on the way because of this. So Gumiho, he can look to hit with 3 racks, which is about a minute from now when Stim is done. He can also go look to hit with his Medivacs when Starport is done, because that Starport is going to be done fairly quickly. There's a reactor going on down on the factory, and it seems like he's going to hit closer to this 6:30 timing, closer instead of the initial hit when Stim is done and you have all of this bio, which it does make sense. Because if you think about it, Hero, or MaxPax, not Hero, has figured out that, yeah, he's seen what happened. He knows exactly what's happening in this game. So don't give him the timing that he expects. There's a nice eyes there. Gumiho is going to be able to scout this down. Gumiho has long had some of the best eyes of the Terran cohort. He does a really good job of seeing what observers are up on the map or what's happening with that. So MaxPax, again, he's blind. He's got charge on the way. Does he have blink? Yeah, he does have blink done. +1's on the way. He's adding in additional grade. He's adding in additional gateways. This Twitch chat has distracted me by Matt and the Crown's absolute shenaniganry. Reaper, who? Good God, y'all. What is that? What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Reapers are good for many things, Matt and the Crown. Even if you personally don't believe in their value, their mothers certainly do believe in their value. Although, technically, a Reaper is a convict and confused with battle drugs. So I don't... I think it's a little bit awkward. Even still, Stalkers are going to have to blink backwards. A couple Marines will lose their lives, but the army is hitting. It's 6 minutes in. Charge is only about halfway done, really. Combat shields are done in 10 seconds. That truly is the timing that you're looking for. This observer, second one goes down. It's really not what MaxPax is looking for. But okay. We got 9 Stalkers here. Another one is just going to look for maybe move out on the left side. Stalkers on the high ground. This is going to be not a dead Stalker. Nice blink there, MaxPax. But do we have a shield battery? We do. Overcharge is available as well. There's an Immortal at the front lines. It's a lot of damage available. And with the overcharge popped, I don't think this gets a ton done from Gumiho. He's going to pick up and not a ton. He just tries to hide behind the line of sight blocker, which I love. I feel like we've been seeing this more and more out of really players in general. Really creative usage of the line of sight blocker. Not just, I'm going to poke up in it and we're going to be fine. But I'm going to sit here and I'm going to boost behind it so you have less of a concave on my army. I'm going to go and play around with it with a Zealot to make sure your Reaper doesn't run across the map. And now this concave from MaxPax is really solid, but there's more reinforcements coming out of Gumiho. That unending red line is a problem. Here's the deal, though. +1's done in about 15 seconds. Zealots are done right now. Charge is done. Force fields are solid. Immortals, well, they're not. Well, they will go down, excuse me, but the Marauders are starting to fall. Zealots on the backside as well. It's a beautiful flank, but the question is whether there's enough here for MaxPax to make it worthwhile, and the answer is a resounding yes. Meanwhile, by the way, damage being done on the other side. MaxPax is going to bop Gumiho in this game number 1. And he's got everything that he could possibly want. MaxPax, he goes up 1. Game 1 saw Gumiho get aggressive. Game 1 saw Gumiho have a Reaper and not really do much with it. But the Marauder play was pretty cool, right? It shut down the first Adept and the first Zealot and almost got the second Zealot or a second Adept, but it really shut down a ton of scouting. MaxPax should not have been able to know what was happening. Now, unfortunately, Gumiho left the wall open between the main base and the natural. Adept gets fully in the main base. It dies, sure. But he sees the 3 racks. He sees that there's stim on the way. He knows the timing, what's happening. And that means that MaxPax, instead of maybe committing to full Colossus play and going into Blink Robo or Blink Robo Bay, something like that, he says, you know what? No. Mass gateways. Charge. Get myself everything that I could possibly want. Have the shield battery at the 3rd base because I know you're hitting like bare minimum at 630. That is just about the latest you could possibly hit. Probably closer to 6 minutes. Maybe 5:30 if you don't commit with medevacs. So everything he can do at this point is all about delaying the push as much as possible, finding as much value as possible while you get charge done. You get your +1 done. You set up these Zealot flanks. You put Zealots into your opponent's base on the other side. And it does make everything it makes it pretty interesting. So that was game 1. Now we move into Site Delta, game number 2 here in MaxPax. Sneaky little probe. This is probably just going to be for a rescout. In fact, it's going to be for nothing at all because the Reaper finds it. Well done there, Gumiho. He knows what's happening. So no rescout, no proxy. We very easily could have seen MaxPax go and put a gateway down there and get 2 additional gateways and put 1 gateway on the other side and just 4-gate blanket. That would be very much a MaxPax thing. Certainly up a game in this series that is absolutely a MaxPax thing. But for now, that's not going to happen. The Reaper out in front patrolling. There's, of course, the barracks or the command center down on the low ground, bunker as well. Gumiho just wants to make sure that he doesn't have his natural delayed in any way, and that's going to happen. Now, this Reaper is not going to take the 3rd shot, but hey, he can dive into the bunker. So, MaxPax, he can get his Adept on the... I thought he was going to put his Adept on the other side. Apparently not. He can theoretically shade behind the mineral line and deny mining for as long as possible, but I guess he wants to sync up his shades and get that second Reaper or that second Adept ready to go to really start to make life a little bit difficult. Now, Gumiho, he's got a Hellion on the way. It remains to be seen whether this is going to be for any sort of actual Hellion pressure, Hellion drop, or just to be annoying. Ooh, MaxPax gets the SCV. And now he's just going to deny mining at the natural. You're not really going to see any more SCVs made out of this. And actually, Hellion's going to look to maybe get some pretty nice shots off. Because again, Hellion's bonus damage. They shoot in a line. If they can find that lineup against the Adept, that's going to be pretty nice. But for now, Hellion takes a lot of damage. It is going to get repaired, of course. But MaxPax just trying to buy time. One Adept falls down. Second one will get out. And the game goes on. Medevac. Oh, okay. So Medevac's on the way. Cyclone just about done. We're going to see... Oh. MaxPax not gonna get the Reaper there. It's doing a much better job of surviving in this game number 2. But we're gonna see Gumiho get aggressive in this game number 2. He did in game number 1. It didn't really work out. But there's a Medevac done, or about halfway done, I guess. Yeah, there's a Medevac about halfway done. He's got a Cyclone. He's got Marines. Gumiho wants to find his way onto the other side of the map, get aggressive with that, put himself into the main base, force MaxPax to be uncomfortable before Blink is done. Because MaxPax is 3 gate. MaxPax is going for 3 gate, but he's going to get a Warp Prism that does put more power on the map. So here's what we got. 8 Marines and a Medevac, a Cyclone, a Heli, and a Reaper that are going to be on the map. And what we're going to see is this drop is going to show up in the main base. Stalkers are theoretically going to go show up on the 3rd because MaxPax wants to get his 3rd base behind this. That's how it gets a little bit awkward. Blink is done. The Stalkers can try to chase on top of this. The Cyclone will fall. Problem is that there is nothing in this main base. I think this might have to be a full recall for MaxPax. Trying to chase the Reaper down, not going to be successful. In fact, the Warp Prism on the other side, he doesn't know about this yet until right now. Now the Stalkers are going to warp in. It's only 3 of them, though. Probes are going to have to get pulled away. MaxPax, now he's got the Stalkers on top of things. Medevac's going to get targeted down very quickly here, and that's going to be a nice trade, but it's 6 dead probes. It's even more. This is tremendous damage from Gumiho. It's 9 dead probes. And remember, these Stalkers, they're not on the other side. By the way, Reaper's getting more. 11 dead probes here. It's going to have to be a massive SCV pull. Massive SCV bounty here for MaxPax to be happy about this game. And honestly, 3 SCVs does not cut it. Not at all. Does not cut it whatsoever. So MaxPax, he's going to have to get his Stalkers onto the other side of the map. He's going to have to warp in more. And this is turned from medium pressure. Maybe I don't think light pressure is necessarily fair, but into medium level pressure. Into something that is going to have to be extremely committed. So now it gets on top of the bunker. That's going to be pretty nice. Blinks forward. But there's a tank sitting a little bit further back. And while no Stalkers have died, they are taking damage. So MaxPax behind this, he's probing up as hard as he can. He's got his 3rd base done. He's going to start building probes 3 at a time off of this one. We should see charge on the way eventually. But MaxPax, again, he needs more. He needs significantly more. So what do we got? 2 tanks in the main base, 1 tank in the... This tank of the natural is actually pretty vulnerable. MaxPax is going to identify that one. Marines are going to fall down. And remember, with the Warp Prism, MaxPax has 2 blinks, but... Did he have something on the other... Was there something in his base?